This year, you have to discover God's will for your life. And so essentially, what I mean by that is this. You've got to know what your Creator has put in His mind for you. Without vision, people perish. This is a very old proverb. It's a very powerful one yet. We have to understand that when we live from the God-given vision, we create a difference in our environment. A lot of people make mistakes because they don't know what they're not called to do. And so they jump into everything just to try out. I mean, listen, trying out is not a problem. But if you have time to build a life upon a solid foundation, you're going to see a much greater return. See, time has compounding effects. Money has compounding effects. Even character investment has compounding effects. Education has compounding effects. If you realize, listen, if you realize what you are investing in and you take a moment to say to yourself, is it really worth it? Am I really fulfilling the vision that God has for my life? Then you're going to see a massive difference because you're going to take everything through the filter of that vision. So maybe God's called you to run a business. Maybe God's called you to help people. Maybe God's called you to just be a worker and be very diligent at what you do. For whatever role you may be doing, for whatever season you may be in right now, just be faithful to the vision and obedient to the voice of God inside of you. And so I found that the 3 top ways for me to experience God's confirmation and God's presence on it is simple. God's Word, God's Spirit, and God's peace. God's Word, God's Spirit, and God's peace. And out of 3, one of my favorite ones is God's peace, because you cannot mess with peace. And when you are at peace with yourself, even the enemy runs, even the enemy is shattered. And so peace is a weapon. And I'm telling you, Jesus said, I give you peace like the world cannot give you. And so when you have that peace within you, you're still. Your mind is still. Your spirit is still. You're not shaken by whatever goes around you. And so I want to encourage you with that. Make sure you know what God's vision for your life is.